Okay, it's time to make a quick video here. We're going to be doing a pit with a ramp. Okay, so let's start with our original ground surface. Okay, so it's not a very interesting piece of terrain, but I do want to put a rectangular pit in here with an access ramp coming down. So this is going to use our grading tool, and before we do grading, we generally start with a brand new terrain. So here in our brand new terrain, I'm going to put my original ground into the background. Zoom extends so we can see it. Okay, so let's see what elevation this is. It looks like it's about 722 and I want my pit to be at elevation 715. So I'm going to draw the bottom of my pit. I go up here, select new feature. I want to make sure it's a 3D feature, so that means displayed, connected, elevations and model need to be selected, and we're going to call it pit bottom. And we're going to draw it with the mouse. Now, I did practice this before, so it's defaulting to 715, which is the elevation. Usually would default to 100, so we would punch in 715. So I'm not very good at drawing rectangles, so what I'm going to do here is draw a diagonal and go up to my feature tools, shape, and I'm going to select diagonal to rectangle. This will convert that line into a rectangle for me. So our rectangle is going clockwise. I'm going to grade it out to our original ground and create a really simple pit. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go up here to the Terrain Modeling tab, select Grading. Our original ground surface is in the background, so it's shown here on this list, and you can select Browse for it otherwise. We're going to set our slopes here, keep those as 1 to 1. We're going to also interpolate some slope lines, setting those at a spacing of 2. And we'll also get it to calculate our tin model. We're going to unselect major and minor contours. We don't need those, as well as we're going to check Calculate Volumes. Yeah, so now that we're happy with our settings, we're going to hit OK to go ahead and perform the grading operation. Okay, fill volume. That doesn't make much sense here. So it looks like my original and my final are mixed up, so that's quite easy to change. Just adjust that. Okay, now you can see it's showing our cut volume, lots of cubic meters of material. Okay, and there's our surface. You can see it's being graded. Let's take a look at what that looks like in 3D. This is kind of what we expected. Now, how do we add a ramp to this? So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to save this because we're going to come back to it later. Okay, there are two ways to create a ramp here. The first is using our current grading object, and it's a much simpler one, so let's do that first. Okay, I'd like my ramp to be in this zone here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break my pit bottom feature into chunks. Okay, to do that, we're going to put in a couple of new points. Oops, sorry about that. So we click to create the point, and then we're going to snap it to the bottom of that slope line. We can do that for the other side of the ramp over here. Same thing, click to create the point, and let's snap it to the bottom of the slope line. So we haven't really done anything yet since the elevation hasn't changed, but now we need to break our feature at those points. Okay, to break our points, our feature I should say, we go up to the feature tools bar, we can select break at current point. We're going to go back to the other point we created. Same thing, you can hit Control Q, that's a shortcut key for this. And now you can see that that piece is now its own feature. The rest of the rectangle now is in an additional piece. To make it a little bit easier, let's just change our line types here to show that little piece in blue. Yeah, and now, oops, sorry, forgot to hit apply. Let's try that again. Select that piece, go over to our line type, select blue, and this time hit apply. And so now you can see that one little piece that we've broken out is its own feature. So when we did break that, we ended up fragmenting our pit base, or pit bottom I should say, into two features. So let's just select both of those here. Okay, we can join those together. Feature Tools menu, select Join, or you can hit Control J. Okay, so now I have two separate pit bottoms and I can grade them separately. Now, sometimes when you use the grading tool, you have slope lines or this SS feature here left over afterwards. So why don't we just go ahead, we're going to save this as an interim file just in case we need to come back to it. So usually the grading tool will remove all of them, but let's just see if it does this time. Okay, so we're going to regrade this feature. We can keep the slopes the same here. And because this is no longer a closed feature, we do need to turn off our daylight to tin boundary. Okay, and it's done. And notice that it got rid of the slope lines there for where our ramp is going to be. Okay, and now I want to grade our ramp feature. So let's go up to our grading checkbox. You'll see it's remembered all the settings that we had before. Let's just adjust our slope here. And again, uncheck that daylight to tin boundary checkbox. And here we go. Okay, so this did work perfectly, but just to illustrate what you can do if you get stuck. Okay, so what you do is you select the important features. In this case, that's our pit bottom, and I've got two of them. So with those both selected, you can hold the shift key down to multiple select. We're going to go right click and invert selection. That selects all of those slope lines and such. And you can just hit delete. Okay, so let's just quickly regrade and continue. And in our case, that delete operation wasn't necessary, but just wanted to highlight just in case. Okay, I've got a surface that's almost correct, but I do have a few issues. So first of all, I do have some stray triangles out here, and if we go and turn our track mouse feature on, you can see them here. And we also have stray triangles over here. So what we want to do is create a boundary feature that prevents the creation of triangles outside of my disturbed surface. So I want to take this feature, this one, sorry, right here, called SS, and snap it on to the end of the other feature. So I've now connected the SS from both of our grading operations together. So with them both selected, we just hit Control J, we've joined it, and let's go and do that on the other side of our ramp here too. So now I've got a polygon going all the way around, set that to a tin boundary feature, hit apply. Okay, so let's recalculate our surface. So just generate tin. And so now we have taken care of those triangles outside of our disturbed area, but we do have another issue here in our ramps. We've got some strange triangles that are coming in here and cutting into our ramp area. Okay, to fix that, this feature right here should be a break line. So select it, change the property to break line, hit apply. We can go do that on the same one on the other side. So break line, apply, let's recalculate our tin. Okay, so why didn't that work? It's because we have two slope lines, actually, in both cases on each side. One from the steep grading and one from the less steep grading. So let's select that steep one. We're going to delete it. And the same on the other side. So select the steep slope line. So in terms of telling which one is which, it's pretty easy. You can tell as soon as you click on it. The steep one from our original pit grading is much shorter. So let's delete that one. That's our steep one, and we can recalculate our tin model. Okay, and that's what I'm expecting. I like that surface. One little thing, how would I make this slope here a little less steep? The correct thing to do here would be to take this slope line, extend it out to the ground here, and then take this slope line and do the same thing. And then we'd have slope lines that extend out at different angles. Okay, so that's a little tricky. We could type in coordinates and pick up the elevation. You can see it by hovering here, but I'm going to do something a little bit simpler. So I'm going to just delete this slope line as well as this one and delete a couple points here from my surface boundary. Do that same thing on the other side. Okay, so I want to grab this one and this slope line here as well. Delete those points again from the boundary, this one here and this one here. And now let's see what it looks like by regenerating our tin model. Okay, pretty happy with how that worked. So now here is my pit with my ramp created in one file through two separate grading operations and then a little bit of adjustment to fix our surface errors.